Sports Card Strategy Show. Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com. Welcoming back the Great Murphenis, Nathan Edward Murphy. Great to have him back today. We are sponsored, as always, by marketmoversapp.com, by Sports Card Investor. Pretty sure Nate remembers the promo code NOOFFSEASON, all lowercase, to save 20%.
There you go.
We need you to go there, use that promo code, get the great tool, get all the data, and then marry it together, Murph, with the Sports Card Investment Report that I've been working so hard on at nooffseason.com. When you marry together the Sports Card Investment Report, which we'll talk a little bit more about today, with Market Movers app, you have all you need to make a lot of money on sports cards over the next X amount of years, or weeks or months or whatever. So Murph, great to have you back. Here's a few things I want to talk about today.
All right.
One of the reasons why I had you scheduled as the co-host for this show is because we just had the Super Bowl, and we've been talking a lot about football since you helped me launch the show back in September of 2021. And there's been a lot going on with the football season. It's been a long season. I've learned a lot.
The longest ever, actually.
Yeah, the longest ever, right? I mean, we had some records broken by the Super Bowl MVP. He broke some regular season records, Cooper Kupp. And TJ Watt, who got Defensive Player of the Year, tied Michael Strahan's record. Would these records have been touched had it not been for the extra week? I don't think so. I don't think they would have been touched.
But would Michael Strahan have the record if Brett Favre didn't take a dive in Week 17 in the fourth quarter? Probably not.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's all these things have details underneath them that I think don't matter in the future. Like, I think people aren't going to really care that Cooper Kupp had an extra week. I think they're just going to say, well, he's got the record. So,
yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to talk about NFL. I want to talk about, post Super Bowl strategies for the card market now, for the football card market. And then I want to just maybe throw you some other curveballs and let you ask me some questions. We get back into the groove here. All right. So let's start with the NFL. What are your thoughts on, can either of these teams, now there's a lot of factors that we don't know about with the Rams, right? But can either of these teams make it back to the Super Bowl, Bengals or the Rams?
I think both of them could. I mean, you still got a young Matt Stafford, who I was wrong about. I actually was wrong about almost all of the Rams, to be honest with you. I know that I was not a huge believer in Stafford. I always said, never trust Stafford. But the guy managed the game really well. He really did. And he showed what the Lions could have had if they tried, over the course of his 12 years in Detroit. Matt Stafford changed the narrative. He changed the narrative with me. The guy stamped his tickets to Canton. He's a Hall of Famer. He's going to have a gold jacket one day. And it's all because of this season and getting out of Detroit. So kudos to Matt Stafford for doing that. Odell Beckham, I was wrong about. I said he was going to come here and be who he's always been, which is a disruption. And maybe not who he's always been, but what he was in Cleveland just kind of reminded me of a diva wide receiver that got himself released because he just acted poorly. I was wrong. The guy played fantastic the last 2 months of the season. It's too bad. I was really rooting for him. I mean, the guy could have had 180 yards in the Super Bowl. He would have been your MVP had he not gotten hurt. I think the Rams can come back. I think there's a little bit of retooling that potentially needs to happen. Aaron Donald does not come back. The Rams are not making it to the Super Bowl. Plain and simple. That was the MVP of the Super Bowl, without question. He's a disruptor. If the stat sheet said one more sack on it at the end of the game, does he win the MVP? I don't know. Odell Beckham, I don't know what that injury is. Has that been out yet, Hicks? Has that been
I haven't seen any
sort of knee injury that he has. I mean, it didn't look good. He didn't come back. You had to figure if it was a sprain or something, he would have played. He clearly tore something in there. So he's got a long road back, and he's on a single-year contract. My
Here's the
guess is
news, Murph. He suffered a torn ACL. So
the
he's
likelihood
out
is he's not coming
basically
back.
all of next season. Yeah.
I think you've got Robert Woods, you've got Cooper Kupp. Well, Odell Beckham's not going to miss all of next season. He may miss September, but he's not missing it. I mean, that was a year-long injury. Now it's 6 months or so. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true. That's
8
true.
months, 8 months.
He is only 29. He is only
He's only
29.
29. Um, but he's a risky 29-year-old wide receiver. He is. If he's ready to play, believes in his team, believes in his quarterback, and they're winning, he's a guy you want on your team. If he has mild belief in the quarterback, they're not winning, you want him as far away from your team as possible. Just that's the proof. The proof is in the pudding over his career. But the Rams can come back. The team that's going to be scary is the Bengals. I mean, young. I mean, they got Joe Burrow for another 3 years on a rookie deal. They've got potentially top 2 wide receiver in football as a rookie. He's got 3 more years and a rookie option after that. They've got Higgins, who kind of came out of nowhere. Tyler Boyd, who's been the number 1 receiver the last 2 years, is now a slot guy. Just, unfortunately dropping third down passes in the Super Bowl. But this team is fantastic. They've got to protect Joe Burrow. The guy got sacked 7 times, which ties Roger Staubach for the most times getting sacked in the Super Bowl. I saw a comparison the other day which said, is Joe Burrow the next Andrew Luck in terms of just getting his butt kicked week after week and getting pressured and sacked, and not just sacked, but hit. They need to draft and get 5 new players on the offensive line through free agency and the draft to protect that guy. You protect that guy, Bengals are going to get right back there very, very soon. But the AFC quarterback game is loaded. I mean, think about who's in the AFC, Hicks. Mahomes, he ain't going anywhere. Allen, he ain't going anywhere. Burrow, nope. Herbert, he should have been in the playoffs, but his coach is an idiot. Goes for it on 4th and 8 every chance he gets inside of his own territory. I mean, the AFC is almost looks like AFC when Brady, Rivers, Manning, all those guys were there. And actually, the AFC is just a ×2 of the number of fantastic quarterbacks that are there. The AFC is going to be the best conference to watch in football for a long time. If I'm Aaron Rodgers and I got a chance to go to Denver, go here, go there, don't do it, Aaron. Stay in the NFC where you only really have a couple of the quarterbacks to worry about.
Yeah, I think that
I went
my
on a
thoughts
little tangent there, Hicks, but I'm sorry, but I both teams can certainly go back to the Super Bowl. Bengals long term.
Okay. I think that you're right, but what I want to kind of break down here for the sports card investors is some learnings that I've come to realize during this football season as a sports card investor. This has been my real first football season ever where I've thought about it really solely from a strategic investing in sports card standpoint. And number one is that to make the most potential profit or ROI, you got to go quarterbacks. Now we talked about some NFL RPA flipping that I did that I still think that's a play. I think you can find running backs, wide receivers, even tight ends for next to nothing with their rookie patch autos, and you can flip them and make some money, but you're not going to make big money. You're not going to make big money. You might double your investment, which is big money, but in those cases, you're talking $30 to $60 or $70. So you have to do that at scale to make big money. But with quarterbacks, you can own 5 or less of their cards. And if you pick the right quarterbacks and have the right cards, you can actually make big money. So because of that, I'm more fascinated than ever at trying to pick the right quarterbacks for who's next. And one thing I know about the NFL, and you just kind of made my point for me, is that it's super difficult to get back to the Super Bowl. So I think on one hand, it's sure, the Bengals can make it back there. Of course they can. But how, like, realistically, it's going to be pretty darn hard for them to get past Buffalo, Kansas City. You've got Herbert in LA. You've got the Broncos are going to make a play at a quarterback. You got to figure that
The
out.
Broncos are going to go after somebody.
Lamar Jackson in their own division was injured for basically the second half of the season, so he was out. So you got Lamar Jackson coming back. You mentioned Josh Allen. You've also got Mac Jones in New England. And did I mention the Titans already? So you've got the Titans, right?
No, you hadn't mentioned the Titans.
Okay. So you've got the Titans. They were banged up. They actually kind of blew it. They let Burrow get past them. That was one of the few games I watched. I watched all of the Bengals games in the playoffs. Those are basically the only games that I watched. And so what I came to realize is that it's not going to be easy for the Bengals to get back there. Like, I would not bet on the Bengals getting back to the Super Bowl again next year. And what that means is that Joe Burrow's not necessarily the best investment right now. And the reason I say that is because everybody, ever since he came out of the AFC as the AFC champion, has been on Joe Burrow's jock. His card prices have gone ridiculously through the roof. And I put out a video a couple weeks ago before the Super Bowl saying you should look the other way. You should buy Matthew Stafford's cards because the Rams are more likely to win. I'm horrible at picking games. That's probably my weakness is actually like picking the winners of games. But one thing I do know is when you get me in a certain situation in a pocket to make a prediction, I'm pretty good at it. And one of my pockets is kind of looking past just the game, but the feel of a particular maybe 2 or 3 week scenario, or when I have more context than just one game, I think I'm better at it. And so with the Stafford prediction, I had more context. I had how the Rams had come out of the NFC, what had happened to the Bengals, what the feel was of everyone sort of overrating Burrow, but like looking past Stafford, wanting the underdog to win. Even though the Rams were favored in the game, it was kind of like this overlying sentiment that Burrow with his cool factor and like what he had done so far, like the Cinderella story and all that. And I just had this feeling, man, everyone is loading up on the Burrow cards, and his prices had gone, like his regular base cards in PSA 10 had gone from like under $100 in many cases to $200 and $300. And Stafford's autograph cards were still at like $100, $150.
Wow, that's
not necessarily rookie autos, but his autos from like 2011, 2014, just completely overlooked. And so what I want people to do is actually get out of the hype a little bit and consider the fact that it's a whole new start to the next NFL season. You've got money to put into cards. And I'm not saying don't buy Joe Burrow because he's definitely in the conversation. But what I'm saying is if you've got, you and I talk about the hypothetical, say, $1,000 to spend in sports cards, right, to invest. If you've got $1,000, don't buy $1,000 worth of Joe Burrow cards. Don't even buy $500 worth of Joe Burrow cards. Look at the fact that you already have Patrick Mahomes, who's been to the AFC title game, 4 times, who's been to the Super Bowl twice, who's already won a Super Bowl, and who is Joe Burrow's age, basically. Look at the fact that you've got Josh Allen. Look at the fact that you've got Lamar Jackson, who's ridiculously underpriced. He hasn't done it yet. And look at the fact that you've got Justin Herbert. I mean, look at other pricing. And look at the fact that the NFC is pretty wide open as well. I think that the Rams could get back there. But you could have some serious retirements on that team, apparently. I don't know. Maybe that's blown out of proportion right now. But you've got some other young quarterbacks in the NFC that could get back to contention and potentially get to the Super Bowl, who are drastically underpriced right now. And the reason why I feel like everyone except for Joe Burrow is underpriced. So the biggest opportunity in the sports card investing market right now is to look away from Joe Burrow and look at some other guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's guys out there that we had talked about a month and a half ago. last time we did this show, Hickey, which I was like, this is kind of a make it or break it for some of these. Look at Dak Prescott. That team's still going to be good. You know, I mean, Dak did not look good in the playoffs. The Cowboys did not look good in the playoffs. They looked putrid, actually. The offense couldn't move the ball. The team's going to change a little bit. But I don't know what Dak Prescott's prices are, but the team's still going to be competitive. That division is just not any good. He's by far the best quarterback in that division, in the best situation. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to have a home game. And at that point, who knows? I kind of like, and I don't know what's been happening here, Hicks, on the card front, but you got to like the potential of a Russell Wilson probably just having stabilized his card value most of the season probably has gone down 20, 30%, not only with the injury, but the fact that he's running around for dear life, you know, on every single drop back that he has. That team was pretty solid towards the end of the season, but there were times it was really bad. Where does he go? I think he stays in Seattle, but my God, can you imagine him on the Pittsburgh Steelers? Can you imagine him on
Oh
the
my
Steelers?
God. I mean,
I
I
mean,
love that you mentioned Russell. I think the two guys that you just mentioned, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. I mean, I just want to say, I think the two guys that you just mentioned,
we already
Dak
named the
and
AFC,
Russell,
and it's
are great.
The AFC is a who's who of who's under 26. The NFC is who's over 33 and who's still got it. And that's like Wilson, Rodgers, Stafford, and obviously you've got Kyler Murray, you know, in there. But the NFC only has 4 or 5 guys. And I like the Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson to be these guys that have stabilized card value, maybe drop 20, 30%. Even if they stay with their current teams, which obviously Dak will, both of those guys are going to have bounce back seasons next year, without question.
Okay, so let me talk about Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson, because I'm really glad that you mentioned these guys. So Dak Prescott's 2016 Prism Silver is down 15% in the last 30 days, and that's down a lot from where it was during the season. So Dak is a great buy right now. I mean, the Cowboys have been a pretty great regular season team. It's almost like Dak doesn't even really need to make it to a Super Bowl for you to make money on Dak if you buy him. Right
he doesn't. You're right.
And then
I mean, if he's down 30% total, you just in the last 30 days, shit, he hasn't even played a game in 30 days. So you go back 90 days when they were humming after Thanksgiving. I bet she's down 30%. So you're right, Hicks. He doesn't need to win a Super Bowl in order to be there. He just needs to be 11-3 going into December. And that team,
which he's pretty likely to do with that team.
Can do it.
I think Dak's a great buy. Then you've got Russell Wilson. Sorry, one more card on Dak. Dak, his Optic 2016 Optic PSA 10 is only $160 right now, which is I think would be a great buy. Russell Wilson, who's already won a Super Bowl and been to multiple Super Bowls, his Prism 2012 PSA 10 rookie card is $650. I mean, these are all more affordable than way more affordable than the comparable cards for Joe Burrow. And I just think that it's his Russell Wilson tops base PSA 10 is only $153 right now. And Russell Wilson is going to have to come back to the 2020 form, where he was kind of playing like an MVP in 2020. Yeah. But what are the odds that Russell Wilson comes back and has a great regular season? I would say they're pretty high. And if he can help Seattle actually make a run into the playoffs, or Pittsburgh, another team. That's the other thing is, buying Russell Wilson right now, you've got multiple markers. You've got trade rumors, which we know ups a player's card value. You've got but then if they do make a trade, that sometimes skyrockets value as much as making it to the Super Bowl.
Oh, for sure. Because the alternative
I love your Russell
base,
Wilson
the
call.
new fan base just goes crazy, ups it by 30% just because it's the fan base. So all of a sudden you just sell everything in Pittsburgh, But I like the Russell Wilson play right now because I personally, can you imagine a little Russ Wilson in like someplace like Denver, where you've got already a really solid defense. You've got similar weather. You've got the weather factor, which he's always had a chance in Seattle to take advantage of. You got your boy Judy out there on the edge, making plays over there. Personally, oh my God! If he obviously, I lived in Seattle for 6 years. I love the Seahawks. I love Russell Wilson. I love going to the games there at the old CenturyLink field. But how cool would it be to see Russell Wilson in the black and gold of Pittsburgh? I mean, coming off
I think it'd be really cool. I've always liked both teams. I've always liked the Seahawks and the Steelers. I think that would be really cool. I think I love Mike Tomlin. I
would love that. I think that marriage is fantastic.
If Russell Wilson goes to Pittsburgh, then his card. Here's the thing. I will be spending some money on Russell Wilson cards. Probably more so than Dak. I like the Dak buy, but the reason I'm going to choose Russell over Dak, he's already got a Super Bowl. You already have a Hall of Famer. So if you're investing in an active future Hall of Famer, like either Russell Wilson or even Patrick Mahomes, over guys like Joe Burrow, over guys like Justin Herbert, over guys like Josh Allen, over guys like Mac Jones.
But those are
the last
all
few
guys.
young guys that I mentioned are always they're so hyped up that it's like it's impossible to make any money on buying their singles.
Right. It's just like
unless they win.
Hicks, all of a sudden, all the small cap stocks go crazy. They go crazy for 5 months. There's never a down day, and then all of a sudden they come back down to earth. I mean, in that same realm, you do have all the youth of the AFC, but you've got seasoned Hall of Famers with question marks on what their situation will be next year. And there's a lot of positive question marks to make money with guys like Dak, with Russ Wilson. I mean, Aaron Rodgers could retire. He could maybe
even Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, maybe even Aaron Rodgers. I don't like Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, there's a lot of fun things to talk about.
Yeah, you're right. I don't personally like Aaron Rodgers, so I won't be buying any of his cards, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't as an audience member. You know, the audience, he's another Hall of Famer. If you like Aaron Rodgers, there's going to be the same type of buzz around Aaron Rodgers this offseason that there is with Russell Wilson, if not times two, right?
Yeah,
he's Aaron
until
Rodgers.
He shows up in a Packers uniform in July, there will be talk. Same thing with Russ. Until he shows up in a Seahawks uniform in July, there will be talk. And that's why the NFL there's 52 weeks in a year. The NFL is a 53-week-a-year discussion point.
Yeah.
That's how great
now,
the NFL.
There's another, that's the best. I told somebody the other day, we're having dinner with some friends, and I said, I think the NFL is the best the NFL is the best soap opera. And I felt that way since probably 2003, that the NFL is just the best soap opera. And so I think that the football card market is going to continue to get stronger and stronger. I think that there's one other tier of guys that I want to talk to you about. And it's the 2021 rookie quarterback class. So now that we've seen a sample size of Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and a little bit of Trey Lance, although not that much. I'd like to know your thoughts on who from this year's past class do you believe in most as a guy that can help their team win games, like be not necessarily put up huge stats, but like who will be in the playoffs or relevant to the playoff discussion or even the Super Bowl discussion sooner than other guys out of this past year's rookie class?
Well, the first names that come to mind are Trey Lance, right? Mac Jones. My personal opinion on Mac Jones is if you've got a card that has gone up 100% since August of last year, I'd sell it today. And the only reason why I say it is I think New England's in a major transition. I mean, you've got still Bill Belichick at the helm coaching, but you lose Josh McDaniels, which has been a figurehead there. there's major question marks on what that team looks like, just execution on offense. Major question marks. You don't have game-breaking talent anywhere on that team. You lose Josh McDaniels, who's been the offensive coordinator there since 2013, I believe. You knew what you were going to get with Mac Jones. It was going to be Tom Brady-esque 2000, with that team early on. I don't know what those cards have done, Hicks, but what I tell you is if you got 100% profit in Mac Jones right now, or maybe 150% profit into Mac Jones right now, there's major question marks there. I'd cash out and then retool, have some funds, have some free cash to go do some other things that we talked about over the last 20 minutes. Trey Lance, I don't know, didn't look like he could do much of anything when I saw him play. I mean, he moved the ball a couple of drives, but it really wasn't that impressive, in my opinion. He's by far the fourth best quarterback in that division, and you got to play 6 games against those teams. He's light years behind Kyler Murray, Matt Stafford, and Russell Wilson. Light years. I don't like either one of those guys, honestly, to go and make some bets on right now. Zach Wilson, who knows? He plays for the Jets. Who else is in this class?
Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields.
Oh, Trevor Lawrence, without a doubt. I mean, he had a bonehead as a head coach. I mean, there's nothing but upside with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, nothing but upside with that guy. I would assume his cards are cheaper than what they were in August, since you had the lowest QB rating of any NFL quarterback. It's nothing but good for Trevor Lawrence. He's a generational sort of guy. Protect him, find some talent around him, put him with a competent head coach and offensive coordinator. He's going to go up without a doubt. He's the only one of those guys I put any money on. Justin Fields plays in Chicago. I like him, but you don't have enough. You don't have enough quite yet to make a play. Chicago has no playmakers around him. If they start adding some just solid breakout talent, then I like Justin Fields. Start buying Justin Fields depending on what the Bears do in April and May in free agency and the draft. If they get some talent, game-breaking type stuff, I'd buy his cards. But right now it's a boring team, and he's the only one that can do anything. That's my thought on the
I think I think that's a good analysis. I agree with you. So the way that I think about the rookie class, and I tend to do this in all sports, is I try to find like comps for guys. So for example, like is Cam Newton a comp for Justin Fields? Maybe not. But Cam Newton came in his rookie year and dominated. Lamar Jackson
he just threw the ball.
Came in.
He just threw the ball as far as he could, and Steve Smith went and caught it. That was like 60% of his throwing yards were just bombs, four bombs a game to Steve Smith, and he caught 2 of them.
Yeah. That's a good.
I know
point.
what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah. But I know what you mean too, and I think your point is Justin Fields didn't even have anyone close to as talented at wide receiver as Cam Newton did in his rookie year. No. So I think that's fair. So the way that I look at this year's rookie class then specifically is a little bit of a different take on it. I agree with you on Mac Jones. You brought up some good points that I hadn't even thought of. I just think my take was simpler, generally just that he's overpriced. But then when you brought up the fact that there's transition there, that's another reason I think to sell Mac Jones and just avoid him. There is no FOMO on Mac Jones.
It's a wait and see for Mac Jones. Wait and see on a guy like that. Don't wait and see on Trevor Lawrence, but wait and see on Mac Jones.
I think wait and see on Mac Jones if you don't own his cards. Wait and see. I think if you own his cards, you should sell his cards because then you can get back in. I think that Trey Lance intrigues me the most. I equate Trey Lance to what baseball card investors do with prospect cards. Baseball card investors spend a lot of money on Bowman prospect cards. So in other words, like whenever there's an MLB draft, then a set comes out of cards in the pro uniforms, but they're prospect cards and they don't, you know, who knows when they'll even make it to the MLB team. But those cards go for hundreds of dollars raw from those releases. And so I look at Trey Lance as a baseball prospect from a sports card investment standpoint, meaning he's in the best situation to spend money on, because I think the thought there is if Jimmy Garoppolo can get this team almost to the Super Bowl, like one play away or whatever from the Super Bowl, then investing in like the third overall pick in the draft at what seems to be a low point in his card prices right now, to go out and get like his rookie autos, he has the highest upside, I believe, like literally to go from like a few $100s for an autograph card, potentially to like a few $1,000 if he were actually like, if you take the 49ers team and just put Trey Lance at quarterback and they get back to where they got this year, next year,
yeah.
his card prices will be ridiculously through the roof, even if he doesn't even play that well. And so, that's why he intrigues me, I think, the most. I think the safest bet at the floor is Trevor Lawrence. So I agree with you there. And I think that Justin Fields intrigues me too, just because like his prices are so low and we don't even really have any idea what he is yet. But I think he has.
We don't know
I think
anything
out
about
of
that.
all the guys. We don't know anything about that guy. I feel like he has the highest bust potential. I feel like out of those guys, he has like
huge.
the highest bust potential. That's why
I'll be honest with you, Hicks. That's the one place we disagree. I think Trey Lance has good bust potential as well. He better come out and win games early on. I mean, he better, because Kyle Shanahan won't be there if they come out one play away from the Super. They were literally one dropped interception away from the Super Bowl. I mean, let's be honest. It wasn't Garoppolo's fault. But granted, he didn't play way to throw stupid interceptions, bad passes over the middle, all that. But they were one dropped interception away from a poorly thrown ball by Matt Stafford from getting there. He better not be 3-4 going into Week 8,
let me throw this question at you, because I think this kind of encapsulates it for a sports card investor. There are two cards right now that have similar prices.
Okay.
A Justin Fields rookie auto, Donruss rookie auto, short print variation. So it's not the base card.
Okay.
Say that card is $200.
Yeah.
And the other card that's $200 is a Patrick Mahomes rookie Donruss PSA 8. So if I'm going to give you $200, which one of those two cards are you going to buy? Are you going to buy the Justin Fields
that's
rookie
a really good
auto,
question.
short print variation, Donruss rated rookie auto, or the Patrick Mahomes PSA 8 rookie Donruss, no auto, just base rookie? And I think if I can help you work through this, I was just going to say, before you answer,
here's what I'd say. I'd say, yeah. So I'll hedge my bet on the answer, because I think it depends. Depends on what else I've been spending my money on recently. Like, am I taking a chance on a bunch of young guys, and am I taking my chance on some flyers? Maybe at some point in my collection, I would want a no-brainer, right? Something that's always going to be there. Something that's going to go up, but it's not going to go like this. It's just going to kind of go like that. Yeah, I'll go back to my comment about PSA 8s and 9s. I think they're highly undervalued. I think in 4 or 5 years, I think 8s and 9s aren't going to be the difference. You know, they're not going to be the price variation from a 10. I just don't see it, because there's no discernible difference that any human being can find without some sort of electron microscope that I used in 8th grade chemistry class. So I would want the Patrick Mahomes card in there, because I don't trust the Bears organization, Hicks. I don't. I mean, Justin Fields might be fantastic, but what's the difference between the Bears and the Lions? Nothing. And so I don't know. I feel like I'd probably go with Mahomes, PSA 8. And I think that's based on everything that I've said in the past. I would say that that's probably where I'd go. And I think that's the right move. But I think it depends on what you're already buying. If you don't have a couple flyers, something to, I mean, part of the fun of sports cards, which was why you got back in, is because it's fun, right? So if you don't have a lot of fun, wait and see guys, shit, get Justin Fields, right? Go get that guy.
Yeah.
Something that you can get really stoked about, you know, next season. Give you a reason to watch the Bears at 1 o'clock play the Detroit Lions, you know, to a half-empty stadium in Ford Field. You want to watch your guy. If that's a fun factor you don't have right now in your collection, go get that guy. But if you've got a ton of that already, Patrick Mahomes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I love your answer from a lot of different perspectives. And one of them is the bankroll management. I've used that term quite a bit. And basically it's just another way of saying like portfolio diversification. It's basically like bankroll management as it relates to sports card investing. It's a term stolen from daily fantasy sports. It's kind of like, how do you manage the money that you win? Like when you win money, then what do you do with it? How do you break it up? How do you diversify it? I think it's the same thing as like a investor with their diversification of their portfolio. So you're talking about like the fun guys, flyers versus the safer guys. So I like that you're talking about that. And I think you're right. I like the way you broke that down. All things equal, you chose Mahomes. And I think that's a great call because like he's only 26 and he's a future Hall of Famer and he's got a lot more exciting play in Kansas City.
He's going to fill more fingers with Super Bowl rings. I mean,
yeah, I think so too. He's not done yet. He's not done yet. So let's talk about, let's change the subject real quick. I've only got a couple more minutes.
And then I have to head on out.
Yeah, there's two more things I want to hit on in the next 3 minutes, and then we can wrap the show.
It's going to be a fiery
one is putting a bug in your ear on the National, which is the National Sports Card Collectors Convention, which will be held on July 27th through the 31st in Atlantic City. I am planning on attending, and I'm throwing it out there for you to see if you maybe want to meet me there for a couple days, and maybe we could hit up the National together. And who knows? Maybe there's even a golf course near Atlantic City that we could.
You know what I think that there probably is? I think there's a table that with a couple of chairs and a nooffseason.com table skirt that we could sit there and do a show.
I am going to try to push you hardcore to meet me there. We can do a show. We can browse for some sports cards. We could probably get some autographs from some famous Hall of Fame athletes that will be there. I think it'll be a good time.
Wonderful. It'll be a great time.
It'll be like the Big Ten tournament back in the day.
I like the bug.
All right, cool. Last topic before we wrap the show is the Masters is still played in April at Augusta National, correct?
Last time I heard.
I think that it would be interesting to get your take on golf cards to buy in terms of favorites and sleepers, two ends of the spectrum, favorites and sleepers for winning the Masters. And you don't even have to do it completely on this show, but maybe even on the next show. Just wanted to mention it'd be nice to talk about some golf cards.
It would be nice to talk. There's a lot of cool things happening in golf. There's a lot of buzz going on in the golf world. I'd have to do a little bit of research on like what golf cards are going for and things like that. What's their ebbs and flows of their pricing. But yeah, it's never too early to start talking about the Masters, whether or not it's sports cards or just because it's the Masters. So yeah, I agree. The other thing I'd like to do on the next show, Hicks, because I do have to go, I want to talk about the effect on the sports cards of the blockbuster NBA trade that happened last week between the Nets and the 76ers. I've got some thoughts on that train wreck of talent. And I thought we would actually get into that today. I had a lot prepared, but we'll have an opportunity to hear about James Harden's injury, and some of the other players that were transacted within that trade. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about golf and NBA, specifically that trade in the next show that we do together. And I think I apologize to you and to the listeners for not getting to that today, but I think that we will bring it strong and we will have more of a sample. I think what happened is in the sports card world, a lot of people had a hot take on what that trade would mean for the card prices. And I disagreed with like all of the hot takes. So I'm intrigued to see what your actual take is, and then we can look at some card data and break that down.
I think the
Murph,
data would be really interesting. I think the data would be really interesting.
Yeah.
And like maybe what had happened during that time from the card standpoint. You got some data. I'm ready to listen. I know.
Sounds good. Murph, thanks for joining me. Everyone, thank you for watching and listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'm Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com. I'd like to thank our sponsor of the show, marketmoversapp.com by Sports Card Investor. Please go there and save 20% using the promo code NOOFFSEASON. Everybody, have a great day. Murph,
have a great day, guys.
Soon, man.
Hicks, always good to see you.
You too. Later, man.